Jezebel's thick, but my faith a little thicker. Jezebel's thick, like grits, you can't miss. She got a BBL that'll take you to hell, make you fail, break down your jail. Jezebel's thick, but our faith a little thicker. This is how we gotta stay thin, down for the win. Eyes on the prize, that's the way that we rise. Never hypnotized by the BBL. Stories that I don't want you to tell.
Blessings, family. Welcome to the journey. I'm Josh Ron, the Promised Land consultant, a servant who's dedicated to serving his people from sun up to sun down, family. And today, as I was thinking about you, friends and family that are out there, what came to mind and what I thought of is that there's some dirty laundry that's sitting in the washroom that needs to be taken care of. When you air out the dirty laundry, the mold cannot grow. The mold cannot spread when you air it out. When you leave it in there, there's going to be problems. And we know that the Old Testament gives detailed instructions for how to deal with mold when you find it in your house, when you find it around me. Now, I know some of y'all are thinking, what are you talking about? What are you hinting at? Allow me to speak in plain English without using a metaphor. I'm talking about, in this instance, the message that I believe can serve you from my life is simply this: my eye gates have been open. In other words, I've been looking at images that I shouldn't be looking at. Now, it's not anything XX related, but women in bikinis, scantily clad women moving in suggestive ways. I've been looking at it. It's my sin of my youth. And while it's not as
disgusting.
And while it's not as potent as it used to be, sometimes it still trips me up. And as your servant, I have to be accountable. When I step out of bounds, when I step out of line, when I'm misaligned with the one true God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and his risen Messiah, I gotta let you know. I have to let you know, because now you gotta make a decision. Are you gonna keep listening to me? Are you gonna keep tuning in? Do you care to get instructions from someone who fell backwards for a moment, right? And I named this, the spin cycle, because my sin cycle felt like a spin cycle. I'm just going in circles on circles on circles. And what I mean by circles is, I act out, I run to God. I act out, I run to God. And the condemnation that comes from that, I'm not looking at anything X-rated, as I said, but I'm looking at women in a way that I know, I'm looking at women in a way that I know isn't prescribed in the faith that I follow, right?
Oh, come on now, dog.
And God dealt with me. However, I believe the silver lining for me was that this opened up a new series for me to teach about. But first, accountability. Me telling you where I went awry, me telling you where things became askew in my life, me drawing the line in the sand saying, I won't fall that way again. And believe me, God won't be mocked. If I step out of line again in that way, if I fall in the same manner and path, or backslide, moonwalk completely down that, I'm talking about in that way, finish him. My messages won't hit the same, if my messages hit at all. I think my messages hit, but my messages won't hit the same. My creativity won't hit the same. This has happened to me before, where I fell back into the sin of my youth. And this was like a decade ago when I first got into something called Toastmasters, and I fell back into my sin. But honeys, let me put it that way. Now I just fell back into the bikinis, scantily clad, suggestive, movements, right? But just women. So when that happened to me about 10 years ago, my ability to stand in front of a crowd and speak and connect to them left. It was gone, right? I was so focused on myself and how I felt that I couldn't connect with the people that were in front of me. And it's one of the worst feelings, right? Now, I didn't run away. I kept speaking. I kept stepping in front of crowds, but it didn't feel the same for a long time. When I say a long time, it was like 4, 5, 6 months of me missing the targets until finally, My eye gates were completely closed, and I was looking at people the way I was supposed to look at them, not looking at them how I was looking at the scantily clad material that I had been watching. And I learned a lesson from that. Obviously, I didn't learn the lesson the way I needed to, because I backslid again. It happens. I ain't perfect. Sometimes I get caught up in it. And let me also mention this, this is a generational curse that runs through my family. I know it's there. Uncles, nephews, a lot of them have it. A lot of the men in my family, on my father's side, are high testosterone, and honeys tend to be the downfall for them. It gets them every single time. And I thought I had broke it, but hey, sometimes you think that you've made headway and you find out that you still got some more work to do, and that's okay, because I know who to run to when the problem shows up. And that was one of the things that I wanted to point out here, that this was like the meat and potatoes of me falling back into this, which is when you find yourself in a sin cycle, or you're in that spin cycle, as I've named this, right? And you're going in circles, you don't know how to get out of it. Don't run from God. Don't run from the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Run to him. He's the one that's going to get you out of it. Yes, he's going to judge you. That's what a righteous judge does. He's not unjust. He has to judge you. There's usually going to be ramifications of some type. But if you run from the law, if you run from ramifications, if you run from the consequences, if you run from what's being meted out, there's going to be extra punishment. One thing that I've always believed about the book of Genesis is that if Adam and Eve had taken accountability, and when God came looking for them, if they had stepped up and stood on business, said, this is what happened, this is what we did, and they didn't lie about it and whatever else, yes, they would have got kicked out of the garden. But maybe God wouldn't have tacked on, you have to live by the sweat of your brow. Maybe God wouldn't have tacked on, you will always, strive with your husband, or for his position, so to speak. Maybe he wouldn't have tacked on, and you will give birth, or you have hard labor, right? Maybe if they had just told the truth, if they had thrown themselves on the mercy of the court, I think God would have relented. And I've seen this before in the Bible. If you remember, there is a historical record of when David took a census in Israel, right?
Wait, stop everything. What I should have mentioned but didn't mention was that Satan was the one who tempted David to take the census. Now, in Israel, during King David's time, well, since Israel came to be a nation, it was forbidden. It was looked down. It was forbidden by God for the people of Israel to number the people and to have a census, because it would lead them to have faith in their manpower instead of having faith in God. And that's something important about this story for why this all happened to David. So
I forget exactly how the story goes. I should have looked it up before I got on camera. But David took a census, right? And when David did this, God gave David a couple different options. He could fall into the hands of his enemy. He could have something else happen, or he could fall into the hands of God. And when David heard that he could fall into the hands of God, David said, I'll take that option, because I know that God is righteous to forgive. I know that God will show me mercy eventually, right? And as the story goes on, that's what happens, right? The people still died. There was still judgment, but eventually God relented. Eventually God decided, all right, this is too much. He understands what happened, and he understands what happened. Let me step away from the full plate of punishment that has been made, that has been cooked, that has been set before them to eat. I won't pour it all out. I won't make them eat every last bit of it. And that's what I'm suggesting to you today, is when you find yourself in the spin cycle, keep running to God, no matter how egregious it is. Well, I say that no matter how egregious it is, but there's some things you do, you're out of luck. But whatever it is, come to God. You know what I'm saying? You might lose your life, so be it, but it might save your next life, that eternal life, right? So my suggestion, no matter what the sin is, keep coming to God, right? Keep coming. If you're no matter how many times you fall back down, keep coming to God. Write to him. Pray at 12 o'clock. Pray at 3 o'clock, 12 a.m., 3 a.m. Keep praying those midnight prayers, right? Up at night, fighting, because, you know, there's other spirits working against you. And all I'm saying right now is you need to be, have to be, for me, as soon as I'm done looking, I'm writing a letter to God. I'm reading scripture. I'm talking to God. I'm meditating on God. Like, when I act out, I'm going to run to God. Punish me now. Let's get it over. And you know what this really came from? In my youth, I was always into something, right? And the one thing I hated was waiting for my punishment, right? So a lot of times when I did something stupid, I would just go ahead and tell my parents, right? And a lot of times it was never as bad as when I ran. It was never as bad as when I lied about it. Whenever I tried to hide it, whenever I tried to cover it up, the punishment was always worse. And we even see that with our municipalities here. When the law is after you and you run away, they tack on extra, the punishment's worse. They tack on an extra sentence. They give you more. They'll throw the book at you sometimes when you try and cover it up. What I'm saying is, run to the Most High. Tell him what he did. If there's people that you serve, let them know. Tell them what happened. Tell them where you went wrong, right? Now there are some things that you do, you're out of luck. You know what I'm saying? You're out of luck. But what this was really about is me airing out my dirty laundry, letting the people know who I want to serve, where I went wrong, that I'm not perfect. But my line in the sand is, when I'm trying to serve you from sun up to sun down, is simply this: I'm not going to fall in this way again. I'm not going to backslide to looking at women in bikinis and scantily clad material or moving in suggestive ways, right? I'm pretty sure I've overcome that. But if I haven't, how you hold me accountable? Don't watch anymore. That's simple. That's simple. I am results driven, right? And when I see people leaving, now I have to go to God, talk to him about what I did and why I can't serve people in the way that he wants me to anymore, because I have a problem that I can't control, right? You can help me by, if you see, you know what I'm saying, my messages are discombobulated. My messages don't make sense. My messages aren't connecting like they used to. You know what the problem is, right? Baby, stop watching. Turn it off. Stop allowing me to speak into your life. That's what I'm saying, how you can hold me accountable. I've aired out my dirty laundry. I've got a series coming about what I noticed while I was in my spin cycle. There's quite a few things that I noticed, old patterns that I'm going to be making a couple of videos about that I believe will be helpful and can help others, because that's what my life is. For us who want to serve, our life should be an open book, and our failure should be, front stage. This is where I went wrong. This is what happened. This is how you don't step on that hole as you are moving to your hopes, dreams, your aspirations, right? That promised land. Family, that's the message that I believe can serve you from sun up to sun down. Yes, sir. And remember that I'm just Ron, the promised land consultant. And as you're moving towards your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations, I pray that God would keep you from backsliding and falling into a spin cycle like I did. But if you do fall into that cycle, as I have and I did, but now I've walked away from, I pray that you continually keep talking to God, walking with God, speaking with God, and accept whatever judgment he hands down to you, but that he would be merciful to you at the same time and in that same space. Amen.
Ethan, down for the win. Eyes on the prize, that's the way that we rise. Never hypnotized by the BBL. Stories that I don't want you to tell. Hey. And I know you smell the smell, that aroma roaming through Oklahoma. East Coast all the way to the West Coast. Jezebel's thick, but it'll make you sick if you hit. So I tell you, stay lit, stay on your porch, write that report. Hey, and please get that report with the Most High, cause you gotta be quick with the prayer hands. That's the way that you slam any of the advances and push them back. Because Jezebel's thick and you know she don't lack. Yeah, you know what she packs, playing with it, and you better know that you'll get whacked. Chop your tree down with that axe. I said Jezebel's thick, real thick. Jezebel thick, like a brick. Jezebel thick, like grits. You don't wanna get lost in that mix. You know that she's thick. This is how we gotta run it. True to the game, gotta stay on track. Never relax, you see how we attack. On the defense, that's the best offense. Y'all already know how I separate the yard. Grass never greener on the other side. I rolled it up a few times, tried to smoke it though. Couldn't even light it, really had to hide it. Here comes Jezebel with the whole body language. Speaking that Spanish, speaking that Russian, speaking that Chinese. But she'll never get to me, she don't know what I see. Every word that's coming off her body, and I'm the one that she'll never body slam, cause I'm attuned to the jam. I know the music and it's not improving, so I'm never losing, because I know that Jezebel's thick. And she ain't about to get this thick. She ain't about to thin me out thick. She ain't about to make me sick. I said Jezebel's thick, and you know what it is, stay free. Don't let her put the chain